and invading the Earth as it goes. We think, well, Duncan thought that the resurgence of Darkspawn was a sign of a blight, which is a mass uprising of Darkspawn led by a corrupted dragon called an archdemon. And Duncan had managed to convince the king of Ferelden, named Kaelin, that the Darkspawn were a serious enough threat that Kaelin should marshal his armies and, try and defeat them early in a battle. So Kaelin and the armies of Ferelden went south to the fortress of Ostagar on the southern border of Ferelden, sort of where Ferelden borders a wild marshland that's not settled by Fereldans, at least, and decided to pitch a battle there. The battle went extremely badly. The human armies were underpowered, undermanned. They didn't wait for reinforcements from other Grey Wardens from a foreign nation, because the king's advisor and general, Loghain, is very xenophobic, based on a rough and bad past with that nation. Didn't wait for reinforcements, didn't wait for one of the armies within Ferelden itself, pitched the battle. There were extremely overwhelming numbers of Darkspawn, and the humans were slaughtered, including the king and Duncan, which turned out to be just absolutely devastating, because now the Grey Wardens don't have a leader, the kingdom doesn't have a leader. Kaelin was young, didn't have any children, didn't have any siblings to inherit, and so the succession is left in chaos. Loghain, who survived the battle based on a tactical retreat at an opportune moment, is the father of the widow of the king and has assumed regency, has pinned the blame for the loss at Ostagar on the Grey Wardens, and has outlawed us. Of course, there were only two of us that survived, myself and another young man, Alistair. So we are fugitives. Loghain basically has assumed the kingship, under the guise of a regency for his daughter. And the Darkspawn are still out there and still coming. So we regrouped with, ourselves and Alistair. We met a woman named Morrigan in the wilds, who is the daughter of Flemeth, who turned out to be an ancient, sort of powerful lich? It's not quite sure, but she's lived for a very long time. Morrigan, also a powerful mage, although not sanctioned by the church, the Chantry, of which Alistair is a former member, so they don't like each other very much. Morrigan was our guide out of the wilds and led us to a small village, which had, a huge influx of refugees because it was basically the only place nearby. So all of the refugees, survivors from the battle, people displaced by the Darkspawn, were fleeing there. We arrived to find out, that Loghain had assumed regency. We sort of gathered all this news, and we met two other people that joined our effort there. We met a a priestess named Liliana, who turns out to be not entirely just a priest. She is quite a skilled fighter as well, and a bard, which in this world means you are a master of intrigue and political machinations. And probably also an assassin. So we know that she has some background in that, but she hasn't been very open with us about that. So we just know that something happened in her past. But she is very convinced that she is destined to help us fight the Darkspawn, so she's with us now. We also met a prisoner in that village who is of a race called Kunari, a large sort of giant-like race from the far north of the world that aren't seen much around here. This Kunari's name/rank is Sten. They don't really have personal names, as we've found out, so that's really more like his designation. Sten was being held captive because he, in some act of panic or self-defense or perceived self-defense, murdered some townspeople, or the inhabitants of a farmstead or something like that, and was being held prisoner for that. We decided to free him on the condition that he join us. So Sten is now with us. He is a little bit difficult to converse with. There is very little common ground between, especially myself as an elf and as a woman, with Sten, who is from a very sort of hierarchical, merit-based and patriarchal sort of society. But we're getting there. I think there's a little bit of mutual respect. At the very least, he's working with us because he owes us. So that's who we've got. After leaving the village of Lothering, we, on Alistair's suggestion, headed to the city of Redcliffe, which is on the western border of Ferelden, where Alistair grew up, and Redcliffe was the Ferelden army that didn't make it to Ostagar. They were on their way. Redcliffe is ruled by an Arl, a high-ranking member of the nobility, Arl Eamon, who was Alistair's basically adopted father. We know that Alistair was a bastard child born out of marriage. And once we got to Redcliffe, he admitted that he is not just, a bastard, but he is the bastard brother, the son of former King Merrick, and younger brother to the recently deceased Kaelin. Which puts us in a sticky situation, because he has a very strong claim to the throne, which is in sort of a limbo right now. He absolutely does not want to press that claim. He does not want to be king at all. But the possibility is there. And Eamon raised him until he was sent off to be raised by the Chantry. And so he has a very personal connection to Redcliffe. Well, we arrived to Redcliffe, we find out that Eamon is sick, and like terribly so. We find out that the castle has been basically closed off, and undead are coming from the castle and terrorizing the village. And nobody knows what's going on. The Arl's younger brother, Tegan, is leading the defenses in the village, but, you know, it's magical undead that never seem to abate, attacking them every night, and they were really on the brink of losing it. So we arrive, we help Redcliffe fight off the undead, and then the next day we venture into the castle via a secret passage, because of course there's a secret passage, to find out what's going on. What's going on in Redcliffe Castle is that the young son of Arl Eamon, named Connor, was beginning to show magical ability as a child, which is extremely worrisome, because by the laws of the land, by the laws of the Chantry, anyone with magical talent is not only disqualified from political succession, but has to be sent to the Circle, which is the place where the Chantry keeps mages locked up, has to be sent there to be raised and to live for the rest of their life. And so Eamon's wife, Isolde, noticed this in Connor and hired an apostate mage, an illegal mage, to come and try and teach him on the down low to see if he could hide his power and be in control of it. This mage had an ulterior motive. He had also been hired by Loghain, the general, now regent, to poison Arl Eamon for reasons we don't entirely know, but clearly to weaken the political power of Redcliffe. And so Eamon is now deathly sick. Connor, coming into his magical power, inadvertently made a deal with a demon to try and restore his father's health. That never goes well. He got possessed by the demon, and the demon was carrying out hijinks, including, all of the undead, basically torturing Connor and his mother and the other inhabitants of the castle, and with plans for world domination and such, So we get in there, we find out that this is going on. Morrigan, who is with us and is a mage, basically is of the opinion that there is no way to reverse a demonic possession without killing the host. We consult the mage Jowan, who was still there, was in the dungeons, sort of languishing away, because the mother Isolde blamed the possession on Jowan, even though that wasn't his fault. The poisoning was. Jowan says there is a way to rid the host of the demon, but it requires forbidden blood magic and the sacrifice of another individual. The mother says, yeah, I'll do that. I will sacrifice myself to save my son. And I made the character decision that Briony Tabris, my elf non-mage and would not subscribe to blood magic. She would not approve of it, and so we ended up luring the demon out, fighting the demon, and eventually, sort of once the demon was weakened, killing the child Connor, which was extremely rough. If you missed that stream, there is some really powerful voice acting work from the whoever it is that voices Isolde, just tearing into us for killing her son. And rightly so. We murdered a child. So that's where we're at. After the demon was killed, things returned to normal-ish. But the Arl is still sick because the demon was not part of that. And so Eamon, still sort of in this limbo state, we have been implored to go find the religious artifact, the sacred ashes of the prophet Andraste, which are said to have healing powers. And we have been tasked with seeking those out to see if they exist and if we can heal the Arl with them. Of course, because this is a video game, they do exist. And so at some point we will have to go do that quest. We aren't absolutely required to do it next, and in fact, it's a bad idea to do it next because that quest area is much higher level than we are right now. So instead, we are going to head off to the east, to the Brecilian Forest, which is where there are rumors that the clans of the Dalish Elves, which are nomadic, isolated tribes of elves who are not sort of controlled by humans, that's where they live. And as Grey Wardens, we have an ancient treaty from the sort of assembled leaders of the Dalish that they must help us if a blight comes, and there is one. So we are seeking out the Dalish. Yeah, if I missed anything in the recap, I don't know, but we may have. Also, just a quick reminder that I'm playing the game with mods. I have a Google Doc somewhere with the list of all of them. If you're interested in that, hit me up. But know that the things that you see and experience may or may not be vanilla content because this game is needs a lot of work to be enjoyable. So I'm going to head out to the world map, finally. For this, I'm going to choose Morgan is going to go with us, Liliana is going to go with us, and Sten.
Yes.
I'm choosing Sten over Alistair as my warrior because Alistair is very sore at us right now about the whole thing that went down in Redcliffe. Understandably so. And I'm going to give him some fictional space. I'm selecting the Brecilian outskirts. That is the location we're traveling to. And I believe we're probably going to get a random encounter on the way there. Because that's usually what happens. What do we have? We have Sten activating his combat abilities. We have a road. The bird hopping along.
Oh, thank the Maker. We need help. They attacked the wagon. Please help us. Follow me. I'll take you to them.
Oh, I know what this is. I know what encounter this is. This is another plot detail that I forgot to mention. We saw a cutscene a bit ago in storyline terms where we as the player were informed that Loghain had hired a foreign assassin to seek out and eliminate the Grey Wardens. And we are about to be ambushed. If I remember right.
Trap!
Yeah. I am detecting traps. How far do I have to run up to get this to trigger? He's a blonde elf with purple and gold armor who has signaled and about a dozen other individuals
Grey Warden dies here!
run out from hiding places. A tree that must have been set up to fall has fallen behind us, blocking our exit.
I sense something drawing near.
And we are surrounded. This encounter, we'll see how it goes. It may or may not go well. I'm going to have Liliana use a poison. And for myself, yeah, I think we're just gonna try and stay grouped together here.
Try that again. Good shot.
Fighting more. Dying, blast you!
There's about, I would say, 6 people that have engaged us on the ground here, and then on 2 ledges to the sides, there are about, I'd say, 3 archers per side, with crossbows, and then there's a woman. The person who lured us here is a mage. I am personally fighting Zevran, the assassin. Unfortunately, unlike many encounters, killing the leader does not result in winning the encounter. But I think we're doing okay. I'm gonna go disengage myself and go clear some traps. Unless I get hit with chain lightning first. Yikes.
On it. Trap!
Another victory.
As you wish.
Be careful! Another battle, I see.
Sorry, Liliana, please heal yourself.
Let's make this quick.
Trap! Trap!
Make her preserve us. You should try while you can. Defend
Liliana is trying to shoot arrows through a cliff face.
yourself.
Anon isam kyun.
I suppose violence is a solution.
Trap! Trap!
Well, I've been attempting to disarm some traps, but Sten is running right through them. As any good warrior should. Oh, there we go. Alright. Brought into a cutscene seeing the body of the assassin on the ground. The elven assassin is wounded and unconscious, but alive. You could tie him up and talk to him if you wished. We get to either talk to him or kill him. Let's talk.
Oh, what? Oh. I rather thought I would wake up dead, or not wake up at all, as the case may be. But I see you haven't killed me yet.
I have some questions.
Ah, so I'm to be interrogated. Let me save you some time. My name is Zevran. Zev to my friends. I am a member of the Antivan Crows, brought here for the sole purpose of slaying any surviving Grey Wardens, which I have failed at, sadly.
What are the Antivan Crows?
I can tell you that. They are an order of assassins out of Antiva, very powerful and renowned for always getting the job done, so to speak. Someone went to great expense to hire this man.
Quite right. I'm surprised you haven't heard much of the Crows out here. Back where I come from, we're rather infamous.
So you came all the way from Antiva?
Not precisely. I was in the neighborhood when the offer came. The Crows get around, you see.
And who hired you to kill us?
A rather taciturn fellow in the capital. Logan, I think his name was. Yes, that's it.
So does that mean you're loyal to Logain?
I have no idea what his issues are with you. The usual, I imagine. You threaten his power, yes? Beyond that, no, I am not loyal to him. I was contracted to perform a service.
And how much were you paid?
I wasn't paid anything. The Crows, however, were paid quite handsomely, or so I understand. Which does make me about as poor as a chantry mouse, come to think of it. Being an Antivan Crow isn't for the ambitious, to be perfectly honest.
Why are you telling me all this?
Why not? I wasn't paid for silence. Not that I offered it for sale, precisely.
Aren't you at least loyal to your employers?
Loyalty is an interesting concept. If you wish, and you're done interrogating me, we can discuss it further.
I'm listening, but make it quick.
Well, here's the thing. I failed to kill you, so my life is forfeit. That's how it works. If you don't kill me, the Crows will. Thing is, I like living. And you obviously are the sort to give the Crows pause, so let me serve you instead.
What's to stop you from finishing the job later?
To be completely honest, I was never given much of a choice regarding joining the Crows. They bought me on the slave market when I was a child. I think I paid my worth back to them plus tenfold. The only way out, however, is to sign up with someone they can't touch. Even if I did kill you now, they might just kill me on principle for failing the first time. Honestly, I'd rather take my chances with you.
And what do you want in return?
Well, let's see. Being allowed to live would be nice, and would make me marginally more useful to you. And somewhere down the line, if you should decide that you no longer have need of me, then I go on my way. Until then, I am yours. Is that fair?
There's some options here. I don't know if I want to be this rude. So can I expect that same amount of loyalty from you?
I happen to be a very loyal person. Up until the point where someone expects me to die for failing. That's not a fault, really, is it? I mean, unless you're the sort who would do the same thing, in which case I don't come very well recommended, I suppose.
Very well. I accept your offer.
A fine plan, but I would examine your food and drink far more closely from now on, were I you.
That's excellent advice for anyone.
Welcome, Zevran. Having an Antivan Crow join us sounds like a fine plan.
Oh, you are another companion to be, then? I wasn't aware such loveliness existed amongst adventurers, surely.
Or maybe not.
And I reach down to help him
I pledge
out.
my oath of loyalty to you until such a time as you choose to release me from it. I am your man, without reservation. This I swear.
Alright, so we can choose if we want to add him to the party. Unfortunately, Zevran is another dual daggers rogue, which is a duplicate of Briony, and because we can never remove Briony from the party, unless we want to duplicate. you know, fighting tactics. He may not see very much use on the field, but he's with us now, so I will not bring him out just now, but yeah. And we are still in this area, so I'm going to loot some of the bodies. We have a letter on one of the bodies, which has given us a codex. The Friends of Red Jenny. The task was never promised to be easy. You said you could enter the Circle Tower, and you were believed. Find the small painted box in First Enchanter Irving's office, and deliver it to the door marked in Denram as agreed. Or be prepared to find yourself hunted across Ferelden. Signed, The Friends of Red Jenny. There's a sketched map of several doors. It requires the box to be placed on the map to block out false leads. Interesting. So that's something we can do at a later time. Got a flask of acid off somebody. There are a few deathroot plants in the area, which is thematically appropriate. Ooh, there's a gemstone in a crate here, a fluorspar. This uncut stone is the color of honey.
Right.
And a mushroom. Alright. So that's it for this little encounter. You know what, actually? I changed my mind. Let's switch out Liliana for Zevran.
Damnation.
Yes.
Because he is a fellow elf. And I would like to have an elf along when we go search for the Dalish, even though he is not Dalish and neither are we. I'm just gonna level up Sten real quick. He has a level up ready. He gets 2 passive talents. Stunning blows. Each normal hit offers a 10% chance, while critical hits offer a 100% chance to stun the opponent for up to 4 seconds. Extremely useful. And passive... overall armor penetration is increased by 25%, and one of his ongoing abilities is improved. Zevran, we get to level up from scratch. Let's see. Gonna put his dex to 24, cunning 24, constitution 18. No, that's a little high. Constitution and strength both 16. He already has the specialization assassin. I will give him poison making skill. Pretty high, and tactics. I don't need to give him lockpicking because I have that.
Let us do this.
I'll give him preset tactics for now, and if we find ourselves needing them, I'll switch them out. Oh, what's he wearing? What have you got on, Zevran? He has crow daggers, one which is golderite, which is a special material, and one of which is viridium. He has a unique set of armor with matching gloves and boots. He has a belt and a charm of flame. All right, let us head out. and continue our way into the forest. It's really thinking about loading this one, huh?
Hold, outsider. You may be of my kind, but you are not Dalish. Why are you here?
This is a tan-skinned elf with blonde hair pulled back. She's wearing intricate leather armor with a bow on her back, and she has intricate tattoos on her face, which, you know, pretty obviously Dalish. I wish to enter your camp.
Why?
I have business with your leader, actually.
And what business is that?
I am a Grey Warden.
That is not a lie that many would attempt. I will bring you to the Keeper then, and he can decide if your business is worthwhile.
Alright. I am also still wearing Warden armor, although that isn't making a difference.
I see we have guests. Who are these strangers, Mithra? I have precious little patience and less time to spend on outsiders today.
This one claims to be a Grey Warden and wishes to speak with the clan. I thought it best to leave the decision to you.
That was wise of you. Masirinus, Mithra, you may return to your post.
Manuvinen, Keeper.
Now, allow me to introduce myself. I am Zathrian, the keeper of this clan, its guide and preserver of our ancient lore. And you are?
My name is Briony. It's a pleasure to meet you.
If you came to bring news of the Blight in the south, it is not needed. I had already sensed its corruption. I would have taken the clan north by now, had we the ability to move. Sadly, as you can see, we do not.
So their first reaction to trouble is to flee from it. Curious.
I imagine you are here regarding the treaty we signed centuries ago. Unfortunately, we may not be able to live up to the promise we made. This will require some explanation. Please, follow me. The clan came to the Brecilian Forest 1 month ago, as is our custom when we enter this part of Ferelden. We are always wary of the dangers in the forest, but we did not expect the werewolves would be lying in wait for us. They ambushed us, and though we drove the beasts back, much damage was done. Many of our warriors lie dying as we speak. Even with all our magic and healing skill, we will eventually be forced to slay our brethren to prevent them from becoming beasts. The Blight's evil must be stopped, but we are in no position to uphold our obligations. I am truly sorry.
Zathrian is a light-skinned man with a shaved head. He's wearing a long belted robe, and he has a staff that's seems to be made out of stone, or at least has very intricate inlay work with gemstones and gold. His facial tattoos are bright gold and gray. I don't really know how to describe the design, but it's really something. Werewolves, huh? There are actual werewolves in the forest?
There was a time in Ferelden's history when werebeasts roamed the lands in great numbers. Spirits possessed animals and turned them into horrific monsters. The humans warred against and destroyed these creatures. No doubt their tales of those days grow ever more inaccurate.
Flemeth tells tales of such a time. Packs of possessed wolves akin to abominations roaming the land. It was a terrible age, now long past.
The werebeasts are not all gone from this land. and the ones that stalk the Brecilian forests are proof of this.
Why did these beasts attack you?
They are savage and unrelenting. They need no reason to attack anyone. What is curious, however, is the ambush. We expect werewolves to be no more cunning than a rabid wolf. The ambush suggests a level of intelligence we've never seen before.
Well, maybe they aren't as unintelligent as you think.
I doubt that. The very curse that is in their blood fills them with an unreasoning rage that precludes any true thought.
So, is there no way to help your men?
The affliction is a curse that runs rampant in their blood, bringing great agony and then ultimately either death or a transformation into something monstrous. The only thing that could help them must come from the source of the curse itself, and that would be no trivial task to retrieve.
I am good at non-trivial tasks.
Within the Brecilian Forest dwells a great wolf. We call him Witherfang. It was within him that the curse originated, and through his blood that it has been spread. If he is killed and his heart brought to me, perhaps I could destroy the curse. But this task has proven too dangerous for us. I sent some hunters into the forest a week ago, but they have not returned. I cannot risk any more of my clan.
You said you could perhaps destroy the curse.
There is no guarantee that this will work, as I suspect. But it's the only hope we have left.
If I help you, what will you give me?
We would assist with the blight, of course. And you would have our gratitude.
There was no good way, no other good answer to ask, like, hey, you will, like, return this, right? Alright, I'll find this Witherfang for you.
I must warn you that more than werewolves lurk in the Brecilian Forest. It has a history full of carnage and murder, you see. Where there is so much death, the veil separating the spirit realm from our own becomes thin, allowing spirits to possess things, living or dead. But if you can indeed help, then I wish you luck.
Alright, first I have some questions for you.
Make them quick, if you please. I have much to do here. My apprentice Lanaya or Sayrel, the clan's storyteller, could provide you with answers just as easily.
How do I find Witherfang? Do you have any advice?
Watch for the white wolves. They are his eyes and ears in the forest.
Tell me more about the curse.
There is not much to say. It stemmed originally from Witherfang, but now any werewolf may infect someone with it.
So, did all werewolves everywhere stem from Witherfang?
No. The ones from this forest, however, do.
How did the curse start?
That is a long tale I do not have time to tell. Ask Sayrel about it if you wish.
How does one know if they've been infected by the curse?
You will know within a matter of days. You will begin to sweat and vomit, and most tellingly, your temper will become wild and uncontrollable. If that happens to you, you should seek out Witherfang even more swiftly. Your mission at that point will be rather personal.
So, if a werewolf bites me, then I'll become infected.
It is possible, but not guaranteed. The only way to protect against the curse is not to be bitten.
Perfect.
Go on, then.
Alright, I should go.
I must return to caring for my people. Creator's speed on your way.
Alright, so he's over here by the sort of infirmary area. There's a lot of other elves around. First, I will talk to Sayrel, who he recommended, for more information.
We few wanderers greet you, friend. We do not see many of our city brethren here in the woods. Would you help us break our fast?
Sure, I'd like that.
Come then and sit. Join us by the fire. I am Sayrel, the clan's tale-teller. I understand you are venturing into the haunted forest to save our hunters. I suspect your efforts may be in vain. An entire group of our hunters went into the forest to do as you intend, and they have not returned.
It's interesting, the animation, we sat down and then got up again. Yeah, the Keeper mentioned that.
Then you are very brave to adventure into such a place, even knowing the danger that awaits. Your courage impresses us greatly.
I haven't done anything to deserve this, have I?
Perhaps you do not. But you are an outsider, and that we must rely on your largesse is a bitter pill for us to swallow.
You are being most unkind, Cyril. Would you refuse our hunter's help simply because of the hand that offered it?
You shame me, Lethalan. I have allowed my bitterness to cloud my better judgment. Forgive me, Grey Warden. It is most difficult to forget the lessons the Shemlin have taught us.
It is even more difficult when you live amongst them, trust me.
Perhaps I can yet make amends. Stay while I spin a tale for our children. And then I will tell you of the forest if you desire.
Yes, I'd like that.
Come and join us then, all of you.
Alright, so now we're going to sit down again.
Now, what say we tell the story of the fall of the Dales? Which of you children knows that best?
I think I do.
Yes? Then come, child. Oh, don't be frightened of the outsiders. Now, where do you suppose such a tale should begin?
When we were slaves?
Yes. Long ago, our people were slaves to an empire the Shemlin had built on the darkest magic. They took away our history and our language and left us nothing. And then that empire fell. We were freed.
Because Andraste came with her army, and Shartan joined her.
Yes. Andraste, the Shemlin prophet, came out of the south and challenged the Tevinter Imperium. Our ancestor, Shartan, fought at her side. And when the rebellion came to an end, we were given a new homeland in the west, the Dales. We began to rebuild the culture and history we had lost in our years of slavery. We worshipped the creators and made the Dales our home. Perhaps you know what happened next, stranger. Do you know what happened to the Dales?
If I remember right from my origin story, the city elves know almost nothing about the Dalish. So I'm gonna pick, no, I really couldn't say.
Could not say, or will not. What do you say, child? Can you tell us what happened to the Dales?
The Shemlin wouldn't let us be.
Indeed. They resented that we would not worship their maker, and they resented our ways because they were so different from their own. The Shemlin nations grew cold towards the Dales. They called us blasphemers and tyrants, and declared war upon us. A great crusade.
It's a war we started, I'm told. I don't know, I don't like any of the options here. All of them are like, not all humans. Yeah, there's no good response here. I'll go for, you say that like there was no reason for it.
Oh, I am certain we played a part in our downfall. We believed that the Shemlin would not revoke their prophet's gift so lightly. We were wrong. They took our lands, forcing us to abandon our gods and live as beggars in Shemlin cities.
You should have fought. You should have fought to the last of you. Better that than to submit.
Oh? Is it not the Kunari way to force others to submit? Surely that would not be your advice to my people, were they attacked by the mighty Kunari.
That would be different. The Kunari would improve your people. The humans have improved nothing.
Perhaps. Even so, many of us did fight. We fought, and we lost. But there were those of us who refused to abandon our ways. They emblazoned the symbols of the creators upon their flesh, and vowed to keep their ancient lore alive.
That's us. That's the Dalish.
Indeed, child. We chose to wander, homeless, rather than be ruled by the Shemlin. And all our clans wander alone until the day we have a homeland once more.
And we bring the old ways back to our people, because they have forgotten it all.
For we are the Dalish, the keepers of the lost lore.
The walkers of the lonely path.
We are the Elvenan, and never again shall we submit. And that is the tale of the Dales, stranger. Thank you for allowing us to tell it to you.
I don't remember this dialogue option. I wonder where it goes. Perhaps you'll allow me to tell a story as well.
Perhaps another time.
Oh.
You are the guest here, and one who may yet prove of great help to our ailing hunters. Now, as I said I would, I can tell you what I know of the Brecilian Forest. Do you wish to hear it?
Dang it, I wanted to tell a story. Sure, tell me of the forest.
Our legends say that before the Shemlin came, the Brecilian Forest was a place of our ancestors that predated even our oldest homeland. The people of the Imperium came here, and gave the forest its name. If they found traces of our ancestors, we cannot say. If they did, those elves were slain or enslaved. We know only that a great many battles were fought here. These trees grow upon the graves of those who fell, Shemlin and elves both.
What does that have to do with the werewolves?
So much death in one place tore the veil into the beyond. The Shemlin know the beyond as the Fade, the place of dreams and spirits. When the veil is torn, spirits pass into our world freely. The legends say that one great spirit possessed the wolf that became Witherfang, who passed its curse of rage onto men and created werewolves.
There were battles in the forest?
Who can say what value the Imperium placed on this land? And how many elves died here in slavery? Even the barbarians who came to overthrow the Imperium fought and died on this soil.
So there are many spirits in the forest.
The forest is said to be haunted. Spirits possess the trees, the wolves, even the bodies of the dead. They yearn for true life, you see.
And this Witherfang still exists today?
So Zathrian insists. He says that Witherfang does not age, as the werewolves do. Witherfang is as much spirit as it is beast, and thus it is immortal. Perhaps it cannot even be slain. At the very least, it is old and powerful, much as Zathrian himself.
How many werewolves are there?
No one knows. When the Shemlin lived in these parts, the curse would spread anew to a few of them with each passing year. They would run off into the forest, never to be seen again. Eventually, all the Shemlin left. One assumes the werewolves survive by passing their curse to their offspring. They have had no new blood. Until now, that is.
So have any of the hunters become werewolves?
It is said that one or two have turned already, though the Keeper denies it. As for the rest, they will either die or turn, unless they are killed out of mercy. I would rather die than become a ravening, soulless beast. Wouldn't you? One last warning. The forest is like a thing alive. It changes as it wills, closing paths behind you and opening up new ones. Too many have become lost within, unable to find their way out. Were I you, I would endeavor not to make the forest my enemy.
Ominous. We have new codexes on the story of the elves and the Dales, which I believe are probably just copies of what we just heard. Let's look for Lanaya. That was the other person. That's the...
My mother was Dalish. They are a proud people, those who refused to bow to defeat.
Actually, let's chat with Zevran.
Here I am.
Care to answer some questions?
Oh, this should be good. Go ahead.
What's your opinion of the Dalish?
I know little enough of the Dalish other than the fact that my mother was one, or so I was told. She had fallen in love with an elven woodcutter and accompanied him back to the city, leaving her clan behind for good. And there, of course, the woodcutter died of some filthy disease and my mother was forced into prostitution to pay off his debts. All is tale in the book.
Was the woodcutter your father?
How should I know? My mother was a whore, as you'll recall. None of the other elven boys in the whorehouse knew their fathers. I was not so unusual. I didn't know my mother either, of course. She died giving birth to me. My first victim, as it were. We were all raised communally by the whores. It was a happy enough existence, ignoring the occasional beating. Until eventually I was sold to the crows. I brought a good price, so I hear.
You're oddly cheerful about it all.
It could have been much worse. Shall I tell you about what happened to the other whorehouse boys who did not fetch a decent price with the crows? Surely your life has not been so idyllic. People like you and I are not the product of happy lives of contentment, after all.
Yeah, you can say that again.
My original point is that my mother's Dalish nature was always a point of fascination for me. Through all the years of my crow training, the one thing of my mother's that I possessed was a pair of gloves. They were of Dalish make, I knew that much, and beautiful. I had to keep them hidden, of course, as we were not allowed such things. Eventually, they were discovered, and I never saw them again.
But you don't think of yourself as Dalish.
Not at all. I think of myself as Antivan. Still, that did not stop me from running off to join a clan when I drew near Antiva City once. Naturally, the reality did not live up at all to the fantasies I had constructed as a boy, staring at those gloves. But such is life. Come, enough talk of the Dalish. Let us move on.
Alright. So that's all he has to say. Alright, the Keeper also recommended we talk to Lanaya, who's his assistant. So I'll chat with her.
Underanitation, Grey Warden. My name is Lanaya. I am Zaprian's first, what you might call an apprentice, perhaps. I've been studying under the Keeper all my life. I am a bit curious of the outside world. Do you mind if I ask you a question or two?
If you like, go ahead.
I hear the human cities are very large, thousands upon thousands of souls, all packed together in their houses. Is that true?
Yeah, some are larger than the eye can see.
How very loud that must be with everyone talking all at once. I try to imagine those of our people living in such a place, surrounded by walls of stone and indifference. It is a difficult thought.
It isn't an easy life, that's true.
What about you? What was life like amongst the humans?
The life I had was ruined by a human.
Oh, I'm saddened to hear that. You have my sympathies. It is said that one day we will have a land of our own. We Dalish gather the ancient wisdom in preparation for this. When that day comes, all elves, even those who have forgotten, will reclaim their former glory. I have one more question, though I'm not sure you can answer it. Do the humans ever regret what they did to us?
I doubt they pay attention to it. It's just history to them.
Oh, how quickly they forget. A poet once wrote of them, before the fall of the Dales. Like dragons they fly, glory upon wings. Like dragons, they savage, fearsome, pretty things. But you don't need me to quote poetry to you. Forgive me. Perhaps you have some questions of your own.
Tell me more about yourself.
I'm hardly anyone special, I assure you. If I seem different from the rest of my clan, it's only because I was born amongst humans. Not too different from you, I imagine. I came to the Dalish at a very young age, but I've always retained my curiosity about the world I came from.
How did you come to the Dalish if you were so young?
My parents were servants to a human merchant whose caravans plied the southern routes. One day, bandits killed him, and my parents both. I was the only survivor, just a young girl, and the bandits took me. I was their servant for several years.
Oh, I'm sorry, that must have been horrible.
It was. The long years of reflection have allowed me to come to terms with it, to put them in perspective. I can only imagine what would have happened had the clan not saved me from them. I owe them my life for that, and more.
So you said the Dalish rescued you from bandits?
The bandits killed a scout when the clan passed near their camp. When the clan discovered him, Zathrian came looking for his killers. He followed their tracks for almost a month, and when he finally caught up to us, he fell on the bandits like a terror. No one could stop him. I sat there, and I watched him attack them in a blur, and I reveled in every blow. When he saw me, the fury in his eyes turned to pity. He took me back to the clan, and I've been here ever since.
You had no family you could have returned to?
It's possible I might have had some, maybe many. Zathrian offered to take me back, but I had no idea where I was from, and I wanted to stay with the man who rescued me. The clan is my family. Any others out there? It's best they believe that little girl died with her parents. The clan is all I need. My old world could not have offered me all this, and the knowledge of a keeper as well. Perhaps one day, when I am keeper, I might inquire out of curiosity. I'm not sure what lies down that road except pain, however.
So, how do you become a keeper?
I am not a keeper. I am Zathrian's first. Though because I was not born into the clan, becoming his first was very difficult. We Dalish have old traditions. The clans come from the ranks of the nobility that once ruled the Dales, you see. The keepers of those old clans have the strongest and purest blood that reaches back to the days of Arlathan. I had to compete against the other candidates for first, to be better than them in everything, simply because I was not of the old blood.
And what did Zathrian think of that?
He was proud of me. I've always thought of him as a father in a way, and he could not hide his pleasure when I became his first. The clan has placed great trust in me. One day, I will lead them and be the one who secures our future.
What does a keeper do exactly?
A keeper is, first and foremost, the leader of the clan. He decides where we go and when we shall move. He's also responsible for knowing the clan's ancient lore and passing it on to the others in the clan. Without a keeper, the clan's knowledge is lost forever, so the clan protects him like no other.
What can you tell me about Zathrian?
Nothing that you could not ask Zathrian himself. He is the keeper of this clan and has been for a very long time. He is also a very good man who has lost much. The Dalish are everything to him, and he would do anything to protect them.
I can try and pass a persuasion check here. Lost much? What has he lost?
He lost his family a very long time ago. I don't know the story, but I understand the circumstances were horrific.
Why are the Dalish so hostile to outsiders?
They have reason. Since the days of Arlathan, my people have been either subjugated or homeless.
I thought the homeland was called the Dales.
That was our second homeland. Our first was the great city of Arlathan. The Dales came when they were freed from enslavement. Elves everywhere journeyed hundreds and thousands of miles to the Dales, eager to start their lives anew. They called it the Long Walk. They reached the Dales and made it their own. And one day it was taken from us too, and you wonder why we are hostile.
Is there any way I could get on your clan's good side?
It requires an individual to prove he is not the outsider we have come to expect. Your own task to help our clan is certainly a step in the right direction.
Alright.
Certainly. As you wish. Darth Shirel.
Alright, so we've learned some things from her. Let me see. I think today is going to be a shorter stream. I'm just going to investigate this camp a little bit, pick up some scattered objects, harvest some plants, open a chest to find a love letter. My darling Reginald. Oh wait, no. These are not in order. My elf root. The herbalist suggested powdered bronto horn. I was very discreet. Signed, Your Sunflower. Okay. Found a pair of gloves in a sack. I'm not talking to any of the people who have side quests.
What is that smell? Must we muck about in the animal pens now?
There is an animal pen with deer-like creatures called Hala. I'm not grabbing the side quests because we will do that next stream.
As you wish.
Leather helmet. Picking some herbs.
Let's get started.
There's various statues of the gods. This is Fen'Harel.
On it.
The Dread Wolf. Who has a long codex. There is precious little we know about Fen'Harel, for they say he did not care for our people. Elgar'nan and Mythal created the world as we know it. Andruil taught us the ways of the hunter. Selays and June gave us fire and crafting, but Fen'Harel kept to himself and plotted the betrayal of all the gods. And after the destruction of Arlathan, when the gods could no longer hear our prayers, it is said that Fen'Harel spent centuries in a far corner of the earth, giggling madly and hugging himself in glee. The legends say that before the fall of Arlathan, the gods we know and revere fought an endless war with others of their kind. There is not a Haren among us who remembers these others. Only in dreams do we hear whispered the names of Geldaron and Darenthal and Anaris, for they are the forgotten ones, the gods of terror and malice, spite and pestilence. In ancient times, only Fen'Harel could walk without fear among both our gods and the Forgotten Ones. Although he is kin to the gods of the people, the Forgotten Ones knew of his cunning ways and saw him as one of their own. And that is how Fen'Harel tricked them. Our gods saw him as a brother, and they trusted him when he said that they must keep to the heavens while he arranged a truce. And the Forgotten Ones trusted him also when he said he would arrange for the defeat of our gods, if only the Forgotten Ones would return to the Abyss for a time. They trusted Fen'Harel, and they were all of them betrayed, and Fen'Harel sealed them away so they could never again walk among the people. From the tale of Fen'Harel's triumph, as told by Gisharel, keeper of the Ralafaran clan of the Dalish Elves. I will observe the other statues of the gods, but not read them for now. We have Andruil, who is a woman holding a sword. Selays, a woman holding a bowl. These are the statues I'm seeing. There's a horned face, which is the god of the craft. June, that leveled Morgan up, seeing that.
Right.
Think of it, Zevran. You may have stumbled into a most delightful possibility for your future.
Oh, are you dispensing professional advice now?
It simply occurs to me that if, say, Alistair were to become king of Ferelden, he may have need of someone of your talents.
From what I know of the fellow, it seems there would be a fair difference between what he needed and what he cared to make use of.
If Alistair becomes king, it would certainly not be through any brilliance on his part. Whoever puts him there, now there's the one who will need you.
Now that's an interesting thought. You've such a devious mind, my dear. Why have we not made love as of yet?
For what purpose? I would sooner stab you in the face than let you touch me, elf.
And somehow that makes the idea even more intriguing.
Okay. Cool. We have Elgar'nan, the god of vengeance. A nice sort of overlook over a river out here on the western side of the camp.
Right.
Dirthamen, keeper of secrets. And one more. Gillenine.
As you wish.
Mother of the Hala. So, alright. So next time, this has been a shorter stream, but next time we will collect these side quests, of which there are several within this Dalish camp. It's fairly sizable. and then set off into the forest to figure out what's up with the werewolves. As always, you can find me at CEL10E on Twitter, as well as here on Twitch and YouTube. I do archive all my streams, so if you've missed any of the Dragon Age streams thus far, you can find them there. And yeah, I think that's it for today. Have a good one.